faculty member at Rowan University in southern New Jersey. I have been teaching there in the history department since 2009. I got my PhD from Johns Hopkins University and did a master's at University of Wisconsin prior to that. And throughout my research career, I have been interested in the history of Senegal during the colonial period, particularly looking at the ways that French colonialism affected people's daily lives, and most particularly the daily lives of children and young people. I first became interested in West Africa through a study abroad program that I went on in college. I came to decide to go to Senegal partly because I really loved the French language, and I had started to learn a little bit about African history and wanted to know more. So I wanted to go to a Francophone country for study abroad. And I spent a semester in Senegal as a junior and had a really amazing experience there, and just have kind of kept going back to that place and learning more each time that I go. I was a contributor to a really fascinating curriculum project. It's a unit plan for social studies students in high schools that I worked on with a team of people. And I contributed mostly to part of the background essay and the primary source documents that we provide as part of this unit plan. It's a unit plan that is, it focuses on children and slavery and post-emancipation societies in Senegal, and explores questions of slavery and emancipation, of childhood experiences, of child labor, and of stigmas that lingered after slavery ended. It focuses on the late 19th and early 20th century period, though the historical essay provides a longer span of time for the historical context. And it focuses in particular on the experience of one child. Her name was Awa Diop, and she had been enslaved and then managed to find her way out of slavery, either through flight or perhaps she was trafficked. It's unclear the exact origins of her arrival in Saint Louis, which was the colonial capital of Senegal. She arrived there at the approximate age of 5 in 1896 and was given her formal freedom, recognition of her freedom, given a liberty certificate. But because she was a minor who didn't have a parent or a guardian to accompany her, she was, like over 1,300 other young people during this period of time, placed with a guardian in Saint Louis, and then that guardian had to provide for her, but in return was entitled to her labor. And so this unit plan really kind of unpacks that relationship of guardianship that in post-emancipation Senegal, in many ways, amounted to a continuation of a kind of slavery for the children who found themselves in that status. This unit plan actually relates very closely to my current book project, which is out for review right now and hopefully will be coming to print in the next year or two. It is a book that is called Discipline, Order, and Colonial Childhoods in Senegal from 1848 to 1940. That, of course, is a working title, so it could change in the final product. But it examines various French colonial institutions and policies focused on children over that period of time, and explores how French efforts to discipline and impose a form of order on children and their lives affected not only experiences of childhood, but also the way that people understood childhood. At the same time, it examines how the children who were within these institutions and affected by these institutions responded to them, sometimes by pushing back against them, sometimes by working within them, and in doing so ultimately shaped the very colonial policies that would continue to affect children going forward. I think the best piece of advice that I would give to young scholars is to be really creative as you can about sources. One of the things that historians of childhood, and this is true of historians of childhood beyond those of us who focus on Africa, but it's particularly true for scholars of Africa who are also interested in the history of childhood and youth. One of the things that I think has become almost a truism in a lot of the literature is that sources are very hard to come by, that it can be difficult to find sources, particularly if you want sources that allow you to get at children's voices and children's perspectives. And it's true to a point. They're not as readily available as sources for adults. But if you look with a creative eye and an open mind in the archive, you will find much more than you ever thought that you would. It may not be a source written by a child, but you will likely find sources that allow you to see what children were doing, the kinds of debates and discourses that were being had about children in childhood, and potentially even allow you to think through what children's voices might have been in a particular context.